When you know where you are and what you're trying to get to, then you figure out how to get there. And there are a lot of ways to get to a certain place, even for the same kind of business. You got to take stock of what you have and what you think you can achieve to get to that point.
I can't help but be totally blown away by your resume. So you've got your undergrad from MIT, an MBA from Stanford, you've completed 2 Ironmans, you once biked across the US, and professionally, you helped acquire 10 million customers and $1 billion in sales for one of the most recognizable fitness companies on the planet. What really drives you to succeed?
So I've always liked pushing myself and seeing where you can go. So lifting weights, because I could see the improvement. When I'm on the bike, I know if I'm going a certain speed or a certain distance in a certain time. So the physical realm for me was always a metaphor for a lot of other ways that I could try to challenge myself. Today, when you ask that question, what drives me is my family. I'm married now, I have 2 kids. And so I think we all have to figure out what motivates us. And I think at different points in your life, you tap into different things.
Your expertise, as you say, is finding hidden profits to scale a company. So for those of us that aren't traditional marketers, where do we start?
It's about getting going. And I think a lot of people worry about having so many things in place, like everything perfect, the branding, logo, all those things. But ultimately, it's about testing. Whatever it is, you got to get out there. You can do months and months of research and then get out in the market and they just don't like it. And so as quickly as possible, get a representative read of whatever it is you're talking about. Seth Godin talks about like shipping early. And if you're super proud of it, you've launched way too late. The idea is not necessarily going to the whole world, but can you test? Can you get a bit of feedback? And then you go from there.
Your approach to helping clients scale their businesses is, of course, grounded in 3 pillars. And the first one is customer lifetime value. In the simplest terms, talk to us about what that means to you and why this is so important.
At the end of the day, you need to know how much a customer is worth, both revenues and margin, which depending on the business model, those can be very different things. And so understanding how much you're going to generate from a customer over what period of time, understanding how much you're going to make from them before you actually even try to acquire them, and that helps to inform how you think about going out and acquiring a customer. So if a customer is worth $100 in their lifetime, and you make 10% on that, then you got to go acquire them for a certain amount. You got to have some money left over to run the business and for profit, right? Because once you get going too, it's not just about increase revenue, it's about improve your cost structure and how do you make things better on that side. So it's about understanding the levers in the business, which is just as important as it is to understand how you think about acquiring customers.
The second pillar to ensure your company is built to scale, you say, is a strong focus on brand. Why is that so vital?
I come from a performance marketing direct response world where the concept of brand wasn't nearly as prominent. It was much more about drive, churn and burn, get the customer, maximize however much you can, and then you're on to the next one. I think in this day and age, first of all, that model is much more difficult. There's just so much more information for consumers to actually research. And so whether they go to Amazon, they go to Google, they go to your Facebook page, customers are going to be doing a lot more research than they did previously. So I think A, you have to do it no matter what you think your model is. And second of all, for me, brand is about customer experience. And ultimately, if you're going to build something scalable and sustainable, you have to have a good customer experience. I think if you build a business with brand in mind, you're actually building a much stronger business because you're thinking about the experience.
Now, the third pillar you talk about is operational excellence. Obviously, this is extremely important, but it takes a lot of work. So how do you convince a leader to stop working in the business and start working on the business?
That's a good one because ultimately a big part of operational excellence is enhancing the team. When you want to build something that's sustainable and scalable, whether that's 7-figure business or 9-figure or beyond, you're going to have some sort of a machine. And that machine is going to have to operate. And if it's always operating just because of one person, then your chances of success are generally lower. It is a tough conversation sometimes to say, look, you're going to take some money from the bottom line because you want to go invest. And so whether that's in people, in software, in vendors, if you actually want to build something, it's an investment, right? And I think sometimes when you make an investment, it's scary and there's a risk, but ultimately, if you want some sort of scale, you're going to have a machine.
So everyone talks about this idea of grit today. Angela Duckworth wrote about it in her best-selling book. You are the very definition of grit. How do you apply that trait to the business world?
Business is really hard. There are going to be setbacks, there are going to be challenges, there are going to be haters. And so you have to be in it for the long haul. I've had a lot of personal and professional failures, but I think when you have it really easy, I don't think you develop the grit in a certain way that like other people will have. Sometimes maybe you have to simulate it, and so you got to go do a triathlon or hike or whatever your challenge is, but I think building that muscle of grit, it happens over time.